For this one, I kind of did some statistical deep diving.
Try not to get too far in the woods there.
I'm not, yeah, it's hard to, yeah, I try not to do numbers, right? Because I just know from phones, they don't really remember numbers that well, right? People.
It takes a certain kind of person to
I don't think the average person does at all.
know.
I don't.
All right. I'm going to turn the air on.
All right. Let me know when you're ready.
Hang on just
And well, the thing is she thought it was funny to be called girly girl. So I just okay, that's fine. I'll leave it there. But I'm not so sure that that's really true. It may be that she was being more polite than anything. That's good. I needed your validation on that. I'll modify that a little bit. All right.
Okay, I'm ready. It
All right.
was set at 85. I thought I'd turn it down.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right, I'm ready too. And I'll count this down in three, two, one. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's Real Estate Authority. Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb Schlinker is a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just search for Barb. You'll find her on most of the popular podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of your largest assets, your home. Barb, what are we covering today?
Well, Richard, I'm excited about today's show just because I get a lot of these questions a lot when I meet with home sellers and home buyers. And I wanted to kind of just deep dive into some of these topics so it makes more sense. So one of the more common, sorry, one of the more common questions I get is now a good time to sell a house in Colorado? What we've seen lately is a big surge of inventory. The interest rates are pretty much steady as they go. So is this a good time or should we wait? And I think it's a good discussion simply because I feel like it's not going to take much of a change in interest rates for the buyers to come out in force. And the market's actually doing pretty well from what I could tell from my deep statistical dive this morning. So we'll get into that a little bit. The second topic is covers the top reasons why a Colorado house is not selling. And we're going to cover what you can do to fix it because most people assume you put the house on the market and it's kind of become this very fast-paced society. They expect instant gratification. But the truth is the average days on market right now is hovering about 77 days for most of the counties along the Front Range. So that's a few months. It is not as much of a seller's market as it has been back in 2022 and maybe the beginning of 2023. However, right now, it's still a really good market, but you have to be a little bit more patient and not necessarily expect instant results. The third topic is going to be about how to receive the highest price when selling your home. So the traditional thought process is I can just price it high and build in negotiating room. But that's a huge mistake because these days the buyers are very, very well educated about what represents market value. The buyers are very focused in on what they're looking for, and they know everything that's on the market. They know everything that's new on the market. They could tell right away if it's overpriced or underpriced. So it's absolutely critical that you position the home to get the most money. And it's not by pricing it high for negotiating room. And then the third topic is what is the best strategy to sell a house right now? And as always, I love talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
Now, Barb, many people are wondering if they should wait to sell their home or whether they ought to go ahead and sell now. Is now a good time to sell a home, or should people just wait?
Well, I always think the summer is a great time. If you go back and you look at the statistics, and a lot of these, like the MLS and other statistical providers, will provide graphs on when are most of the sales taking place. And it always looks very much like a bell curve, kind of light in the early winter, kind of lighter in the late fall going into December, but a pretty good bell curve going across spring and summer and fall. We do sell homes year round, but what I find is in the winter time and the late fall, that time of year, there are fewer homes. So it could be good for a home seller because you have fewer homes to compete with. The people that are moving definitely need to move. But in the summertime, you have a lot more homes on the market, more competition, but also more choices for buyers. Right now, we're working with a couple of folks that are moving to another home in the market. And that's their question. Should we wait till next spring? Maybe we'll get a few more percentage points out of the house if we wait for that time of year. Possibly, but all the stars are looking like the rates may come down within the next 8 to 10 months. And if that happens, I think the buyers are going to come out in force and you're going to end up paying more for the next house that you buy. There's a lot of pressure right now, a lot of talk about the Fed and what he's doing or not doing. And it probably has the most impact on the housing market and other ways to get financing for different things. So, but at the end of the day, if you're a home buyer and you wait, the problem is when that time comes, all these buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines are going to come out and you're going to have to compete with them. To me, it's probably less expensive and easier to get the right home now and then refinance when the rates go down. So I would say, yes, this is a great time. In the summertime, homes look so much prettier this time of year because the grass is green and the leaves are out and it doesn't look, wintry. So I really feel like there is quite a bit of pent-up demand for home buyers right now. They're just sitting on the sidelines. And the current stats are starting to indicate we're still kind of in a slight seller's market. The median list price has ticked up a little bit just in the past week, actually, but the new homes coming on the market are priced a little bit less. So as a home seller, if you're sitting on the market and it's not moving, you need to take a look at your competition on a regular basis. Right now, the average days on market in El Paso County have gone up to 77 days. What that represents is, on average, from the date that a home goes on the market to the date that it goes under contract, not when it closes, but goes under contract, is 77 days. So that's, 2.5 months. It's still a pretty strong market. For me, the most striking number is 49% of those home sellers had to decrease their price. In other words, they came out and were looking at something to say, well, I want this much, my home is worth this much for whatever reason. And then they go on the market and they find it's not working. So they're having half of them are having to lower their price. So you're always going to get the most money if you price what I call realistically versus optimistically. Douglas County, another area where the median price is actually pretty high. In my opinion, it's high. It's 845,000. And we're seeing that market to be relatively flat, a little bit more days on market, up to 76, I think that is. But even more people up there have reduced their price. That's up to 58%, and inventory is relatively stable. Places like Teller County, which really doesn't have a ton of inventory, but people love going up there in the summer. It's so pretty in the summer. Their prices are ticking up just a little bit. Average days on market longer, though, 108 days. And over half of those sellers are reducing their price while the inventory is rising across the summer. Now, Pueblo is a very interesting area. The prices are lower, definitely, in Pueblo County. So we saw the prices go up and then come down. Now they're going back up again. Fewer people are reducing their prices, but the inventory definitely is rising, just like all the rest of them. So if you look at, in general, what has happened with home values, it pretty much has been relatively slightly up, but not exponentially, not like 5 or 10%, in just 1 year. It's just a few percentage points. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about whether or not right now is a good time to sell. And when we come back, we're going to get into a little bit more of those graphs and talk about some predictive indicators about this market. If you are thinking of making a move, I have over 28,210 buyers in waiting just on my little website. And typically with that, along with some other marketing that I'm doing, I can tap into over 800 buyers that are a high match for any home. And I'd be happy to show that to you if you'd like to have us come over and give you a free in-home consultation on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale, go over all the closing costs, and show you how much you put in your pocket when it sells. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing whether this is a good time to sell a house here in Colorado. What are some future indicators that you're seeing right now?
Well, one of the things that we're seeing is, at least I'm seeing, is that it has been an actual uptick in the number of people buying homes. At the same time, there's a pretty substantial uptick in the number of available homes on the market right now. If you look at these stats, the average days on market just a little bit longer than it was a year ago, but a really good leading indicator about what's happening and what could be happening in the future is that pending sales are actually up pretty good by 35%. And at the same time, inventory, that means the number of available homes, is up by 32%. So I think the demand is there. And I heard from one of the trainings that I sat on last week that right now mortgage applications are up by over 11%, but not so many people are actually making offers. It's like they're kind of waiting for the rates to come down. And I personally think that's a mistake. The rates have been really, really flat. 30-year fixed conventional, 6.78. VA and FHA hovering about 6.3, but 6 1/3 essentially. So if you are thinking of making a move, that's part of what we do is we sit down, we go over all the numbers, we show you what the competition is, we show you what the similar sales are, we give you a really good idea what your home will sell for, what range, and how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells, as well as how we attract buyers to your house. To find that out, if you are thinking of making a move in the next 3 to 6 months, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the top reasons that a Colorado house is not selling and what you can do to fix it. Barb's got that next. I wish I could just go through one recording without my voice cracking like that, but
Same problem.
apparently too much to ask.
Probably shouldn't have had my whole milk drink right now.
You know what? I will say that the Red Bull gums my mouth up, but and it does not help my throat at all. But in the morning when I have coffee, if I drank it black, I think I'd be okay. But I always put some Italian cream in it.
Sounds good.
It says it tastes good, but your mouth doesn't like it.
Where do you get Italian cream?
It's Italian sweet cream. You just get it in, like at King Soopers. You go over to where all of the coffee creamers are and stuff. And there's like two different brands of it. And I will tell you, the Italian sweet cream is awesome. They have one that's sugar free. It's not awesome at all. Like most things, right?
If it's slightly good for you.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, you're right. The iPad worked out very well for that. Which I got a new one a couple of weeks ago, and I'm glad you reminded me because I haven't been using it much because I still have a lot of apps I need to put on it and stuff, but I can sure use it at least to tell the time. All right, I'm good for another one. How about you, Barb?
I'm ready.
I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Realty and the host of the program. Now, Barb, as the selling season winds down, I think that there are quite a few home sellers who have homes that did not sell. What are the reasons they did not sell, and what can be done about it?
Well, Richard, it doesn't matter what kind of market you're in. You have to get what I call the 4 Ps just right, meaning preparation. Now that's kind of optional. I just sold a house recently in the north part of town that really needed some work. It was very cosmetically challenged, but they priced it right. That's the second P in order to get it sold. So it was probably priced a good 55, 60,000 below current market value. And it needed just basic stuff, like it had the carpet needed to be replaced. Probably the furnace was a bit old. The sellers did have to replace the roof through the course of the contract, but they priced it at that low number. We had a huge crowd at the open house, even though it had cosmetic issues. The buyers seemed to understand that. We had over 63 people show up to that open house in just 1 hour. We ended up getting 4 offers and it sold for 20,000 over asking price. And that wasn't the highest offer. That was actually the quickest offer, that gave us the most certainty that we were going to get to the finish line. There was another offer that was 20,000 more than that, but there were too many landmines in that offer, uncertainty about financing, uncertainty as to whether or not the appraisal would ask for repairs, which really, in that case, the seller wanted to sell the home as is, as easy as possible. And it worked out great. Everybody was happy. It sold right on time, and it worked out really, really nicely. And somebody got a great home at a great price in a fabulous neighborhood at some of the top schools in all of Colorado. The third P is promotion. So that really falls into the lap of whoever you choose, which is the fourth P, picking the right team to handle the sale. Not everybody understands marketing and not everybody approaches marketing the same way. That's part of my fun is I love looking at homes for sale, looking at the pictures and see if they really knocked it out of the park marketing wise. Some do, which is good. It's gotten way better than it has in the years. In fact, I just met with the seller last year. I'm sorry, I met with the seller this week, and I sold him that home back in 1998. So you could imagine, it was my listing. You can imagine how pixelated and bad the pictures were. I think we had 3 pictures. That was it. And that was high tech for the time. But what's changed over the years is the quality of the imagery has gotten so good. The buyers are making a decision as to whether or not they're even going to go see that home based on the online presentation. So you really don't have a lot of time to make an impression. Your online presentation is your first showing. And if you don't get that right, guess what? The buyers are moving on to the next house. So it's critical that you hire the right person that helps you promote it properly, that knows how to promote it properly, so that you're able to get your home sold fast and for the most money. So getting into preparation, there's two different theories on preparation. Some sellers sell their home what I call as is, right? And in those cases, the home, the pictures still should get them there, right? You don't want to repel buyers with your photos. So you have to have some decent pictures, give them a reason to come out, because at this point, if the buyer comes out and they see the home and they're disappointed, like if there was something in the description that didn't match what they were expecting to see, I know I hear about it all the time. You wasted my time. And I'm like, I don't even know you. What do you mean I wasted your time? So the buyers feel this kind of like an entitlement to get all the information to help them to decide to spend their gas money to go look at the home. And if they are disappointed, they get mad. The example I have right now that I'm working on is it's a seller. It's a house that's owned by the government. It's only a 3-year-old house, and it has some structural cracking going on in the great room, and down in the basement, the baseboards are bowing out. And I finally did just put that in the description. But the thing that cracks me up is, like, even so, whatever agent is showing that buyer, it's not me that's showing the home. They don't read it. They don't pay attention. So they'll get in the door and go, "Whoa, I'm so surprised that it had this problem." I'm like, "Did you not read?" And they don't. They basically open the door. They hope the buyer loves the house, and then they start investigating it. That's kind of how it works these days. Nothing has really changed, even though we have that NAR settlement where they're supposed to have an agreement. But the agreement is not about the agent doing their due diligence. The agreement is about how they're going to get paid, and that's it. So it's a little crazy right now. So preparation is important. Pictures are very, very important. It is your first showing. And even if the house needs work, these buyers seem to have like this built-in radar for good deals, and they'll come and look at it if they think it's a good deal. I had another one a few months ago that it was a nice home in a good neighborhood, but it was challenged with cigarette smoke. They were heavy smokers, and they recognized that. They didn't paint, they didn't do carpet, they were just going to go as is. So we made it look cosmetically fine. And we had a huge crowd. I think we had 70 people, 70 some people at that open house. And so for a lot of those people, it was a no-go. They didn't want to take on that kind of work, but it did end up selling for full price. So it was all about pricing it correct and promoting to get enough buyers in there to find just one that says, yes, I want this house. I can deal with these issues, and I can get in a great neighborhood at a great price. So what we're seeing right now is pending sales are actually trending up a little bit. That's a very good sign. It's a leading indicator. However, the number of available homes is still up by 36%. The interest rates are kind of steady as you go. Good news is mortgage applications are increasing by over 10%. That's a clue that maybe these buyers are getting ready to buy a house. And if they're waiting around for the rates to come down, I think that's a mistake. They've been pretty much the same since February. So I think it'd be big news. And I do think that you can negotiate to get your interest rate paid down with things like closing costs, having the seller pay closing costs. And if the seller doesn't want to pay it, excuse me, if the seller, try water. If the seller doesn't want to pay that, the buyer can certainly go up in sales price to cover their cash issue and use that to buy their mortgage rate down and walk in with a pretty good payment. So it seems to me that Colorado is kind of absorbing the increased inventory right now. It's good for buyers because they have more choices. And I'm checking these statistics every week and kind of comparing it to the week before to see kind of what's the trend, where's it going, what's happening. But I think it's a big mistake to overprice a home. The market is absolutely going to tell you right out of the gate if you missed it, right? Because there'll be very few showings, there'll be very few calls. Like as an example, I put a few homes on the market last week. One of them, we were getting calls every day. Why can't I get in? How come I can't get in? Because we kind of let everybody have a chance to see it online, and then we introduced the home with an open house. So people were chomping at the bit to get in that one, but the other one, we got very few requests. So that told me, even though both homes were in good condition, the home that got very few requests, probably the seller chose to price it higher than what the market would command. And it is their choice. So why are we seeing more than half of the home seller? All right, I won't do a latte again before I do the show. But it tastes so good.
I love it.
Of course you
Of course I do. Yeah. I love all kinds of things that are not good for me.
Okay. So we're seeing pretty big numbers of home sellers going on the market and learning that the hard way. What they're learning is, oh, even though I thought my home was worth more, the market's not responding. I'm getting very few showings. I'm not getting any offers. I'm not getting any activity. You can play that game for a while. I understand, that most people want the most money. Of course they do. However, that's not really the way you get the most money. And there's kind of this critical window that happens within the first 30 days of your home being on the market. If you don't have it priced right in the first 30 days, it's going to grow stale, and buyers would have already seen it and they're moving on. They're not even interested. And so what we've seen in the last 5 years is a lot of big, crazy swings in the market. We went from flying high, everything was flying off the shelf with multiple offers between 2020 and the middle of 2022 to, oops, the rates went up, buyers can't afford it anymore. And all of a sudden, they're still looking backwards at historic sales going, well, why won't my home sell for that much? Or why won't my home sell for as much as I'm paying in property taxes? It's not working because property taxes are looking backwards as well. So it's absolutely critical that you get those 4 P's just right. And we've been able to do that very well with some of our home sellers. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. We have hundreds of buyers that we can match to your home, and we can just give you really good information about how to approach selling your home, to give you a good statistical idea of what to do, what not to do to get ready, as well as what you can expect it to sell for and how long it will take to sell. So if you are thinking of making a move, call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb. She's the host of the program, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. The number 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how to receive the highest price when you're selling your Colorado home. Stay tuned for that. Did that work? Okay.
It's okay. We left out half the segment, but
I was going to say I was looking at the clock, and so I jumped to the end, but was there something that you wanted me to come back and get in there, Barb?
no, it's not. It's just redundant.
Okay.
What do you think? Was it?
I
Did it
thought, no, I thought it flowed that way. Um, I thought it worked just fine that way. But even when I was doing that, I'm thinking if there was something there that it's like, no, we need to get that in. Let me go to the men's room. I'll let you discuss that with the brain power here at KVOR.
as long as it sounded okay, I don't think we need to revisit.
It was great. No, and in the intro, Richard did leave out the guaranteed in your home sold guaranteed, but I'll grab it from another segment and make it all good.
Oh, I don't think anybody's going to miss it. I wouldn't worry about it.
I'm pretty meticulous when it comes to stuff like this.
You are. It's impressive. I didn't even notice it. You know, a top search term is your home sold.
I figured there was a reason that you use that.
Yeah.
Monica.
And everybody's like, well, you're going to buy my house? I wish I could. I would like to buy lots of houses. Okay.
Have one for Monday, one for Tuesday.
Yeah. Sometimes I dream about that and go, wouldn't that be cool if I could just do it exactly that way? Yeah, if it doesn't sell, I'll buy it.
I think it'd be cool to
People that
have
will buy it. Huh?
I think it'd be cool to have different houses in like different states and just spend the fall here in the Rockies, I think, and
Yeah.
then kind of move north for the summer. And
Yeah. My sister-in-law, she lives in Florida but she travels a lot. So she bought a house in Florida and um, she has a lot of fun. She's in kind of this 55 and over community and she's very social. So she,
that's awesome.
they have a good time. But she's probably, in the summer, she kind of just travels around, hangs out with family. She can work from home, which is really nice. And her company just started this new thing. They said, okay, well, you can work from home, but you have to do these visits to your team. Like you have to fly out there and take them to baseball games and stuff like that. It's like, okay, seems like a lot of traveling.
My
Crazy.
mom works for the Navigators, and
Oh,
they have a lot of people who come in for maybe a week during the year or a week per quarter or whatever, depending on their job position.
yeah, that's a beautiful area over there.
Oh, absolutely.
Is
Yeah.
things they're going to do. They're going to go over and have a tour, and then of course have tea at Glen Airy.
Saturday, it's free to get on
Really?
for residents.
I got to imagine it's just totally jam packed. I'll let her know that then.
What happens?
I'll let her know about it.
I
Yeah.
was letting him know that to get on to the Glen Erie property, it is free for residents of Colorado
In
Springs
fact, I'm going to text her right now.
Well,
to go on Saturday morning.
yeah, I went there once for tea. It was cute. It's very
Yeah.
feels very English or Victorian or whatever it's supposed to be.
I think either of those would be valid.
Yeah.
um, I took my daughter over to the that place over, I think it's Mermont.
Miramont Castle, yeah.
Yeah. We went over there for Easter one.
Because they do tea or something there,
Yeah,
don't they? Yeah.
they do a high tea. Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a nice experience. I wouldn't do it again.
Father-daughter thing is always going to be good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I did so many things with my daughter, but yet if I could go back, I would do even more things with my daughter.
Once they get a life and
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and they're willing to do, I mean, they're more out there when it comes to being in the mountains in the middle of nowhere than I was. They got off of work and everything on Friday and then drove from Denver down to Telluride, pitch camp in the dark, stayed down there in the dark, stayed there and did some climbing and stuff on Saturday. Woke up Sunday, did some climbing, and then about 2 in the afternoon drove all the way back to Denver from Telluride. I'm like, that's a long drive, but they love it. So,
they're probably very fit.
oh my God, my daughter has never been in such great shape. I think I told you she's doing these, ultra marathons and all this other stuff now. And it's just so funny because, and her brother's running half marathons and stuff. Um, and they both ran cross country when they were in junior high. They didn't do it in high school because they wanted to focus on one sport. But and they were really good at cross country. I mean, they both made regionals and stuff like that. But if you would have told me that there was an appetite for them to do this as an adult, I would have said, nah, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. Yet it is. You just never know.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I got a new clock. I'm talking too much. I'm ready to go, and I'll count us
Ready.
down in three, two, one. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of the program. Now, Barb, one of the biggest challenges for home sellers is that classic real estate catch-22, meaning you have a house to sell before you buy your next home. So, how do home sellers get the highest price when they're selling their home and yet know that their home is going to be sold?
Well, it's kind of a biggest dilemma for most home sellers. If they need to take their equity out to buy their next home, it becomes a problem. So some people will try to make an offer, like we just received an offer on one of my listings, contingent on a home selling that wasn't even on the market yet. So if you're a home seller, Richard, think about this. Somebody says, hey, I got a buyer that wants to buy your house, but it's not on the market yet, but they're going to sell it. They're going to price it right. Will you trust me? Will you take your home off the market and wait for me to sell my house right now?
The answer is no. I would, well, first of all, let me say this. I would trust you, whatever your advice was. But generally, when you start putting that many contingencies in there, I just don't have that much faith in the other people. I have faith in you, but not the other people.
Yeah, I actually had one where we countered and said, okay, fine, we're going to keep marketing it as available until you go under contract, which I think was fair. But their biggest sticking point wasn't that. Their sticking point was that, like, way late into the process, they didn't want their small earnest money check to be non-refundable. In other words, they had a bailout clause all the way to the end. If their house doesn't sell, it says in the contract, they get their earnest money back. So they weren't willing to put up earnest money for a couple of days and make it non-refundable, at the end of the transaction, which is like, really? You want to reserve this house and tell the world it's not available, essentially. Reserve it for you and wait for you to sell your home. So my obvious question to that agent was, all right, well, where are you going to price the home? I asked her, and she told me, and I looked at similar sales. I'm like, wow, that seems high. Well, I can send you my market analysis. I saw higher sales. And so what was interesting is they did not put their home on the market. And there's two other identical homes at the same price that have been sitting there for months. So it's like, okay, I don't know what you're thinking, where you come up with saying that it's worth 50,000 more than that, and you think it's priced aggressively when you have two on the street, same size, same price, not selling. Something's wrong. And I don't know what it is. I really feel like not every agent really studies the market when they approach this kind of problem. They have basically a buyer that wants to buy, but the buyer has a problem. They need to sell their home to pull their equity out. So a lot of them really don't have a solution for it. And that's what we call the typical catch-22 in real estate. People need their net proceeds to buy their next home. And the biggest fear for some of those buyers is, okay, well, what if my home sells and I don't get the house that I'm going to, right? Because in the state of Colorado, once you commit to sell the home, there's not very many outs for the seller. There's all kinds of bailout clauses for the buyer, but almost nothing for the seller. You can only bail out if you don't agree on inspection, or if the home does not appraise at the agreed upon sales price and the buyer's unwilling to lower their price. Same thing for inspection. If the buyer says, I want this and this and this, and I want fries with that too, and the seller says, no, you're not getting fries and you're not getting that either. The buyer could still come back and say, okay, never mind, I'll buy the house anyway, right? And the seller is still committed to selling it. So it's a little bit tricky. And I think the way the state set it up is so that, let's say somebody makes an offer on your house, right? And you have a contract. And then 3 weeks later, somebody comes along and makes an offer that's substantially higher than your current contract. You can't get rid of buyer number one because you have a contract with that buyer, unless that buyer defeats it's all in the buyer's court to defeat the contract. But for some reason in the state of Colorado, the buyer transactions are very, very buyer friendly. It's different down in Texas. Texas, basically, you got 10 days to show us the money. Otherwise, your earnest money is non-refundable, which I really like that. I wish the state was like that, but it's not. So what are the solutions for a home seller if they need their equity? It's sort of like money in the bank that you can't spend. So we definitely have some solutions for that. One of them obviously would be to get just a home equity line of credit. But here's the problem with that is that, and they're easy to get as long as you have a decent credit score and you have equity. Most of these banks will loan you up to 70, sometimes higher, sometimes 85% of your available equity can be borrowed, right? And they're interest-only loans. Typically, the closing costs are pretty low. We did one with Ent. I think I paid $150 in closing cost. Now, the rates are probably hovering about 8% for those loans. They are interest-only loans, so you don't start paying on them until you take the money out, but you have 5 years to pay them back. So that seems fair. If you're going to sell your house and move on to your next home, you could definitely make that work as long as you can afford the payments. So for those people that want to do the math, how do you know you afford the payment? If you have a paid for house and you have income, generally they look at your income and you can go up to about anywhere from 40 to 50% of your gross monthly income can be in the form of debt. That would include house payment, car payment, home equity line of credit payment, right? So you'd have to be able to afford the payment on your home equity line of credit, as well as if you had any payment on your current house and your payment on your new house, right? And for some people, that's hard. We do have other solutions, though. You could just sell your house and get it under contract and stay and even close on it. And then you're definitely in the catbird seat for negotiating because you don't have a house to sell. You just need to do an inspection and close. And so what I find is most people won't put their house on the market until they have this destination in mind. And that's where the dilemma comes into play, right? Because they don't want to be rendered homeless. If you make a contingent offer and you have a contract on your home and the contract is further along in the process, like you've already passed inspection, you've already passed appraisal, you're just waiting for closing date, that's workable. Most sellers will accept an offer like that because there is some certainty that it's very likely to go through, okay? But if you just went on the market and you don't have a contract yet, and you've got that uncertainty of it maybe not selling in the next couple of months, most sellers won't let you tie up their property in that scenario. Now, there are a couple of special financing programs that we'll be talking about on how you can pull some equity out without having to worry about a payment. And those are really good. But at the end of the day, the way you get it sold fast and for top dollar, in my view, is to price your home what I call very realistically. Like you look at similar sales, and typically what I'm finding in this market, you back it down about 3 to 5%, and boom, you've got multiple offers. There's nothing better than having multiple offers on your house. And people think, oh, that's gone by. That's the past. That doesn't happen anymore. That only happened, during the boom. Nope, that's not true. The last 2 closings I had multiple offers, one of which sold for $50,000 over asking price, and the seller didn't offer that much commission for the buyer's agent. So it can be done if all the stars align and you follow that program. And so when we come back, we're going to talk about some of these financing programs that'll actually help you bridge the gap to buy your next home first. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how do you get the highest price when you sell your home? And we're going to talk about some cash offers as well as some strategies to make that transition between homes. So if you are thinking of moving, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can reach her at 719-301-3900. Now, we're talking, Barb, about how sellers can trade up to a new home. So what are some other things that a seller can do if they need to sell a house before they buy their next home?
Well, Richard, I have some investors that will actually lend you up to 70, maybe 75% of your home's value. But instead of it being like a home equity line of credit where you're making payments, there are no payments. You do have to have an okay credit score. I think the credit score minimum is 620, which is kind of a baseline for most home buyers. But there's no payments. Basically, it becomes a lien on your home. And then what you can do is take that money, buy your next home first, and then we go on to sell the home. And when your home is sold, that lien gets paid off just like a mortgage. We actually have two investors that will do that. They just charge a fee up front for access to the money. But it's a way to bridge the gap, especially if you can't qualify for a home equity line of credit. And that's one of the good ideas. We have some people opting now for our cash offer programs as well. I can take any address in the country and put it up on my cash offer platform. And typically I'm getting at least a dozen offers for their home. So they have lots of choices to be able to sell their home. And not even, and it could be on the market or not on the market. Typically, those buyers will close in about 3 weeks. And sometimes they are able to, with their system, command full market value. So typically, when I meet with home sellers, I will put their house up on there. I will show them their cash offers, and they can decide which is the best strategy for them. So should they sell it to a cash investor and just move on? Or do they go ahead and try the market? Either way works pretty good. And a lot of home sellers are opting to do that. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call. That's how we guarantee the sale of a home at 719-301-3900. We also have lots of buyers. We've sold quite a few of our listings before they ever went on the market to buyers in our own database. And that works really well as well. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Now, Barb, you and your team are the only company that I would recommend to people out there who are thinking of selling their homes and downsizing to a smaller home. They can get more information by calling 719-301-3900. Reminder, you're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb, 719-301-3900. Or as always, visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing what is the best strategy to sell a house, plus Barb's hot new listings. Don't miss that. All right.
Hopefully that made sense.
It did. Yeah. You know what? It's amazing because on the one hand, and I don't know that this has ever happened where you were short material, but you can ad lib so well if that had happened. And if it is a situation where you need to scale back a little bit, you always do that very, very well.
Thank you. Lots of stories, lots of drama.
Yeah, I will say that there is no shortage of drama for you.
Get one more segment over there.
Yep.
Oh, there.
Yeah. I'm ready if you're ready, Barb.
Okay, ready to go.
Count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with the host of the program, Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, the market has certainly changed in the last year, causing some people to wonder if their houses will sell quickly and at a good price. What's the best strategy to sell a house in Colorado in the present market?
Well, it kind of depends on your goals. So that's what happens when we meet with home sellers. We want to know what is their strategy, what's in their mind on what they expect to happen to make this transition. Moving is never fun. It's one of the major stressors in people's lives. I have a home on the market right now, and it does have a contract, and it's definitely a high demand home. I'm still getting calls, even though it's under contract, from agents and buyers, because the seller did everything right. They prepared their home for sale. It looks beautiful. It's a beautiful lot. It's priced realistically. And it's so attractive. Imagine this, Richard. This seller, they keep having people drive up their driveway. She's found people in their backyard. It's a half-acre lot. They just go walk around in the backyard without even, you know, making an appointment. They just walk back there, which is crazy. And I've seen this before. So that tells me that this home seller did everything right. They prepared the home for sale. They priced it realistically. There's still buyers that want the home, even if their current buyer changes their mind. But the process is not a good time. I will say that. I mean, it's a good time for me, but I think for most home sellers, just the act of moving by itself is hard. Getting the house ready for sale can be work because most people don't live in the home the same way that they present it for sale. Like you put a lot of stuff away, you declutter, you get rid of things, and it kind of starts you on your way to preparing to move, which that's a good thing. So the very first step really is to figure out what is your selling strategy. There are some people that don't want to deal with the traditional process. They'll say, no, I don't want to have all these weird people come through my house. Just get me a cash buyer, make it happen quick. And we can do that. There's a different price for that, right? Or maybe they want to do an as is strategy where they want to go on the market, but they do not want to spend a lot of time showing after showing. So that means you have to price it very realistically and take into consideration if it does need repairs. I'm going to try to make it as pretty as possible. Like I sold one this past week that the carpet was beige, except for the high traffic areas, which is more like dark brown. So it needed some love. And I was able to virtually stage it and minimize it. But at the end of the day, there were a lot of people that went in and looked at that home, and it was empty, and they could see exactly its condition, that it needed some work, and they understood that that's why it was priced like it was. So it's a strategy, and I think the buyers actually know more about what represents a good deal and what doesn't, based on their knowledge and what they are looking for at the time. So once you do that, then you prepare the home for sale based on that strategy. Then we get to work. We start doing the pictures. Sometimes we'll edit photos. I have one that's under contract where the seller's neighbor had a whole bunch of junk in front of the garage. So I had my virtual assistant just digitally make that go away, and it looked great afterwards. Then we start showing the property. Now, if it's not showing, we've got a pricing problem. You don't have a marketing problem with us. You got a pricing problem. And then once you get an offer, you're moving towards, if you like the offer, you're moving towards the finish line to get it closed. And it is a rather large project. It takes planning, and the strategy really depends on you. Not everybody is the same on how they want to approach it. Some people, of course, want top dollar. And I would say a majority of the sellers are pretty savvy about what's going on in the market, in particular, homes like theirs in their neighborhood. So what we try to do basically is make the process simple. We have checklists, we have staff to help them do that. And typically you want to start this 2 to 6 months prior to when you're planning to move. We can move faster than that, but it's a little bit exciting. But you want time to check things out. Like I've got one on the market this weekend where it had a lot of stuff, so they had to clear out a lot of stuff. They actually had an estate sale before. They pre-inspected the home, which is really smart. So they dealt with those issues up front. And that way, once they get their buyer, they already know where they stand. They don't necessarily have to do all these expensive repairs from contract to closing. The people that don't do that and they get the, oh my God, you got to clean out the sewer line, or oh my God, you got to replace the roof. The problem is that you have a limited time to negotiate price and insurance claim and all that stuff. So you're always better if you do what we recommend, which is called our certified pre-owned home program. That usually works really well, but we'll walk you through it. So when we meet with sellers, we sit you down, we do an in-home consultation. We want to take a look at the home, give you a really good idea on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale, let you know what a buyer would pay for the home and how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells. It's a free service and you're never obligated to sell. So that's part of what we do. And when you start showing, your home really needs to be show ready, right? So our system is designed to help you get that way, because people just don't do this every day, right? They don't. It's funny, even when I come over to visit, Richard, they're kind of like, oh, I got to clean my house because the realtor's coming over. I'm like, no, you don't. Don't worry about it. We will help you get there when it's time to show your house to buyers. I can look past all that. And we have like a stager come in and help you as well. So every homeowner has different goals, and you just have to basically get a plan that works for your schedule and what you need. I've had some people, like, I love telling this story. I had an inherited home. I get a lot of inherited homes. I love working with them because typically the family is ready to sell the home and they don't really know what to do. They first have to typically deal with all the stuff, right? There's just a huge volume of usually furniture and stuff. So that takes a lot of time and a lot of work. But I had one down in Fountain. It was an older house, and the main level had 1980s brazen hussy red shag carpet over the top of hardwood floors. And so my bright idea, I thought at the time, was, oh, well, let's just pull up that red carpet, because red is a tough color, especially in flooring and marketing. It's not very good in marketing when it comes to selling homes. You want to minimize any red walls or red drapes or things like that, because they just jump out so much on the picture, the buyers can't get past it. So when I got a bid for flooring, it was going to be more expensive to pull the carpet and recoat the floor versus just putting fresh carpet over the top, fresh neutral carpet, not brazen hussy red. So that's what we did. It only cost the seller a couple $1,000s. We got 30,000 over asking price, and it worked really well. I had another one very much like that. I call it Granny's Cute Home. Actually was built in 1960s. The kitchen appliances, it was really cute though, it had wallpaper with flowers. It was just adorable. But the appliances were actually original 1960s, and they all still worked, which is incredible. But what they did in that case is just staged it to make it look great. They pulled the granny sculpted carpet, and there were these gleaming hardwood floors ready to go that really had never been touched. And that one, she priced it right and ended up getting 15,000 over market value, or over asking price, which is really good. So the first step is when you meet with an agent, we'll sit down, we'll do an agreement to handle the sale in order to go get you a buyer. That's my job. And then we'll start implementing our key marketing systems to get your home sold. And you can decide on what is the best strategy for you. We even have a checklist on what to do and what are your next steps in the process, so you're not confused about what's going on. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And we're talking about what is the best strategy to sell a home. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some tips on how you can prepare your home for sale the right way. If you are thinking of making a move, I have over 28,210 buyers in waiting just on my little website. Typically, I can match about 800 to any house. So if you want to discuss the sale with us, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, we're talking about the best-selling strategy for selling a house here in Colorado. After hearing all of the options, it sounds like you create a customized plan according to the seller's needs and their timeline. Barb, tell us about the rest of that best-selling strategy.
Yes, absolutely. It's customized. Everybody's a little bit different on how they plan to approach the sale, and we will help you get ready. Some people will ask me, should I put this in? Should I remodel this bathroom? And sometimes you just, you may not get the money for it. But at the end of the day, we know that most homes are eliminated online. So you definitely want to have nice pictures, nice curb appeal. The top 6 pictures that buyers look for online are curb appeal. They spend the most time on curb appeal: the backyard, the living room, the kitchen, the master bathroom, and the master bedroom, in that order. So if you get those right, everything else is pretty fluffy. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Let's talk about the hot new listings, your favorite portion. Your 3, 2, 1. Barb, let's talk about those hot new listings, your favorite portion of the show. Run us through what you've got this week.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I've got a new house over in Vista Grande Terrace, 5910 Del Rey. Really, really cute, well cared for, pre-inspected, pre-certified home, priced at $398. 3-bedroom, could be 4-bedroom. A beautiful house over on the Powers Corridor, 7247 Eagle Canyon Drive, close to Peterson. Really gorgeous 2-story with a second master in the basement, new Trex deck, mountain views, pristine condition, $479,999. This home has 4 bedrooms plus a loft, and it's just gorgeous. Another really cool home in Briargate, also 4-bedroom, 2-bath, priced at $454,999 on 3925 Zurich home. We have 2 great homes out on Rush Road. So this is really cool if you want peace and quiet. In fact, these 2 properties are right next to each other, but they both have acreage. They both have extra garages. They're both in pristine condition. One of them is it's priced at $374,999. And the second one that has more acreage and more garages, priced at $464,999, and just down the street from a really prestigious elementary school. We also have a handyman special on Gills Mill Road, a beautiful townhome at $174,999. That one should fly. We've already got investors looking at it. And we have a beautiful home in prestigious Summerfield in Briargate, priced at $655,000. This gorgeous home is completely remodeled, and it looks like a model home. I mean, it's got Lux vinyl. It has a really beautiful high-end updated kitchen, finished basement, gorgeous covered patio. It is stunning on Coberdale Court. Another great home in Briargate, 8230 Canfield Circle, priced at $454,999. I'm sorry, $449,999. We just lowered the price, so I wanted you to know about that one. And that one's really cute. Lots of hardwood floors in great condition. A really cool property up in Cripple Creek on Carr Avenue, priced at $299, right next to the Camino Casino. A great home on Highway 24 up in Woodland Park with gorgeous views. A spectacular home down in the 80910 zip code on Kirkham Street. This gorgeous home has over 3,300 square feet, lots of hardwood floors. It is spectacular, with a back entry garage and very close to Fort Carson, priced at $502,995. A gorgeous home on 610 Tower Road at $499. You could actually command up to $15,000 renting out the 5-star Airbnb basement as well. So basically have, your tenant pay half your mortgage. Another amazing ranch that has RV parking and a 3-car garage and an easy care backyard. It's actually the perfect downsizing home on Mountain Garland, priced at $599. And then a beautiful home up in Woodland Park on Pinecrest at $599. An amazing patio home in Pine Creek and Briargate on Spanish Oak Terrace, and lots more. To find out all the rest of my homes, we've got one in Broadmoor Bluffs that backs to NORAD at 684. Beautiful one on True Vista up in Monument, and a fantastic deal on Leeming Road right next to the Broadmoor at 800,000. And last but not least, the spectacular home on Open Sky Way up in High Forest Ranch, priced at $2,095,000. Richard?
That's going to do it for this week. Barb, as always, have a great week. Look forward to talking with you next week. More tips about how to sell your home for the best price and fast here in Colorado from Barb Schlinker, your home sold guaranteed realty. Barb, have a great week.
Thank you. You too. A lot of listings that need to sell.
Oh my God, they look good too. That one Barb was.
You do that when you call